Welcome to the dark side of humanity. As much as we wish it wasn't true, some individuals commit heinous crimes against innocent children. In this video, we will delve into the stories of the 10 most ruthless child molesters in history. From the unspeakable acts they inflicted upon their victims to the aftermath of their crimes, we will explore the chilling details of their atrocities. Some of their victims survived to tell their stories, while others did not. And we will also uncover what justice was served to these abusers by the law. So sit tight and brace yourselves as we delve into the disturbing world of child molesters. Number 10. Masha. Masha was a Russian orphan who was adopted by an American man without a background check or follow-up visits by the adoption agency based in New Jersey. Shortly after the adoption, the man began sexually abusing her and using her in internet child pornography. The police started a task force to find her after her images were found all over the internet. CNN profiled the search and digitally removed Masha's image to identify her surroundings in the hopes of finding her. One picture showed a bedspread from a hotel at a Disney theme park, which helped people recognize her location. Finally, after several years, Masha was rescued by the police. Number 9. Elizabeth Fritzl. The case of Elizabeth Fritzl is one of the most shocking instances of long-term abuse and captivity. For 24 years, she was held captive by her father, Joseph Fritzl, in a secret basement compound in Austria. During this time, she was repeatedly raped by her father and gave birth to 7 children, 3 of whom were also kept in the basement with her. What makes this case particularly disturbing is that the Fritzl family and their community were completely unaware of Joseph Fritzl's depravity. When the truth was finally revealed, it sent shockwaves through the community and the world at large. The 3 children who spent their entire lives in the cellar, Kirsten, Stefan, and Felix, were particularly vulnerable and suffered greatly as a result of their captivity. They had no access to education or normal socialization and were forced to develop their unique form of communication using growls, grunts, and animal-like sounds. Despite the unimaginable horror that they endured, Elizabeth Fritzl tried to provide her children with some semblance of normal life within the confines of their prison. She taught them what she could and did her best to care for them under extremely difficult circumstances. Number 8. David Pelzer. David Pelzer's story is one of the most harrowing examples of child abuse in modern history. In his memoir, A Child Called It, he recounts the horrific abuse he suffered at the hands of his mother during his childhood. Despite being a relatively loving and caring parent to David's siblings, his mother had an inexplicable and deep-seated hatred for him that manifested in increasingly cruel and sadistic punishments. These included forcing him to eat his vomit, denying him food and water for extended periods, and subjecting him to physical abuse that left him with permanent scars. Through it all, David's father and siblings stood by and did nothing to intervene, leaving him to endure the abuse alone. It was not until concerned school officials intervened that David was finally rescued from his mother's grasp. Number 7. Jeannie. Jeannie was a young girl born in California in 1957 who tragically spent nearly all of the first 13 years of her life locked in a small room. Jeannie's parents were both mentally unstable, and at a young age, Jeannie was diagnosed with developmental delays. However, her father refused to seek proper medical treatment and instead took it upon himself to treat Jeannie. For the next 12 years, Jeannie was kept isolated and confined to her bedroom. During the day, she was tied to a child's potty chair and left in soiled diapers. At night, she was bound in a sleeping bag and placed in an enclosed crib covered in metal screening. Her father subjected her to severe physical and emotional abuse, beating her whenever she made noise and treating her like a dog, barking and growling at her to keep her quiet. He even prohibited his wife and son from speaking to Jeannie, isolating her further from any human interaction. By the age of 13, Jeannie had developed a severely limited vocabulary, consisting of only about 20 words and a few negative phrases like "stop it" and "no more." However, her mother eventually ran away from her husband and took Jeannie with her. This led to Jeannie's discovery and subsequent rescue by authorities. Number 6. Steven Stainer. Steven Stainer was a young boy from California who was abducted and held captive for 7 years before being reunited with his family. The man who kidnapped Stephen, Kenneth Parnell, not only sexually abused him but also manipulated him into believing that he had legal custody of him. Parnell even enrolled Stephen in school and gave him a new identity. Stephen eventually escaped with another young boy whom Parnell had kidnapped. A made-for-television movie, titled I Know My First Name Is Stephen, was based on Stephen's life story. Sadly, Stephen's brother Cary Stayner struggled with feelings of neglect following Stephen's abduction and later went on to become the infamous Yosemite serial killer. Number 5. Colleen Stan. Colleen Stan was abducted and sexually abused by Cameron Hooker in Red Bluff, California in 1977. Cameron's wife, Janice, assisted in the kidnapping. Stan was held captive for 7 years, during which she was subjected to torture and sexual abuse, and made to believe that she was under the watch of a mysterious organization known as the Company. Hooker coerced her into signing a slavery contract supposedly from the Company and gave her the slave name Kay, which drew comparisons to the story of O. Additionally, she was threatened with harm to her family if she attempted to escape. It is possible that she developed Stockholm Syndrome during her captivity. Hooker constructed wooden boxes in which he kept Stan locked, including one beneath the bed he shared with his wife. Hooker was sentenced to consecutive terms totaling 60 years for the sexual assaults and an additional 1 to 25 years for kidnapping, as well as a 5 to 10-year sentence for using a knife during the abduction. Number 4. Natascha Kumpusch. Natascha Kumpusch is an Austrian woman who was abducted at the age of 10 on March 2, 1998, by Wolfgang Priklopil, and remained in captivity for more than 8 years until she escaped on August 23, 2006. During her captivity, Kumpusch was held in a small cellar located underneath Priklopil's garage. For the first 6 months of her captivity, Kumpusch was confined to the chamber and was not allowed to leave at any time. Even after that, she was not allowed to leave the tiny space at night for several years. Despite the horrific conditions, Kumpusch and Priklopil would have breakfast together every morning, and he would give her books to read so that she could educate herself. According to a colleague of Priklopil, Kumpusch seemed content with her situation. Kumpusch managed to escape when she was 18 years old on August 23, 2006. At that time, she was cleaning and vacuuming Priklopil's BMW 850i in the garden. When someone called Priklopil's mobile phone at 12:53 p.m., he walked away to answer the call due to the noise of the vacuum cleaner. Kumpusch took the opportunity to run away and seek help from the police, leaving the vacuum cleaner running. Upon realizing that the police were after him, Priklopil committed suicide by jumping in front of a suburban train near the Wien North station in Vienna. He had told Kumpusch that he would not be caught alive, and it appeared that he had planned his suicide to avoid being captured. Number 3. Michael John Devlin. Michael John Devlin is an American child molester who is currently serving 74 life sentences for his crimes. He gained notoriety for confessing to the kidnapping of 2 boys, Sean Hornbeck and Ben Ownby. Devlin was taken into custody on January 12, 2007, and charged with the abduction of 13-year-old William Ben Ownby, who had gone missing 4 days earlier. Police found Ownby on the same day as Devlin's arrest. During their search, law enforcement officials also discovered Sean Hornbeck, who had gone missing on October 6, 2002, at the age of 11 while riding his bike to a friend's house in Rich Woods, Missouri. Hornbeck had been living with Devlin, masquerading as father and son, for a total of 4 years and 3 months. Devlin faced federal charges for producing child pornography, with 4 counts of production and 2 counts of transporting a minor across state lines for sexual activity in both Arizona and Illinois. He was sentenced to 170 years in addition to his sentences for kidnapping and rape, as he had also made pornographic material of one of the boys while they were in captivity. Sean Hornbeck's picture is included above. Number 2. Fusako Sano. Fusako Sano is a Japanese woman who was kidnapped at the age of 10 by a 28-year-old mentally disturbed unemployed Japanese man named Nobuyuki Sato. She was held captive for 9 years and 2 months, from November 13, 1990, to January 28, 2000. The incident is also known as the Niigata girl confinement case in Japan. Her captor kept her in a house only 200 meters away from a police box and 55 kilometers from the location where she was kidnapped. Initially, Sano was scared and attempted to escape, but eventually gave up and accepted her fate. Her kidnapper allegedly kept her tied up for several months and used a stun gun to punish her if she did not follow his orders, such as videotaping horse racing on TV. She was also threatened with a knife and physically beaten. When Sano was finally rescued, she was found to be healthy but extremely weak due to a lack of exercise and malnutrition. She could barely walk, and her skin was very pale due to a lack of exposure to sunlight. She suffered from dehydration and jaundice. Despite her body being that of a 19-year-old woman, mentally she still acted like a child. Number 1. John Jamelsk. Jamelsk, also known as John Jamelsk, was a notorious American serial rapist and kidnapper who held a series of women captive in a concrete bunker located beneath the yard of his home in DeWitt, a suburb of Syracuse, New York. He operated from 1988 until his arrest in 2003. Jamelsk was the inspiration for the character Jamie Gum in the popular film Silence of the Lambs. Each of his victims was raped and subjected to cigarette burns. When police discovered the dungeon, they found several video recordings, with at least one woman featured on the tape. The videos showed Jamelsk dancing, singing, and exercising with the woman. He would begin each rape by conducting a Bible study with the victim, in which they would review a particular passage and engage in discussion before he would then proceed to rape her. Well, that's all for today's video. If you found this video informative, please consider liking and subscribing to our channel for more thought-provoking content. Don't forget to leave your comments and suggestions down below. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.